Um, Good afternoon, everyone. We're just gonna wait a couple more minutes to let people join and be right with you shortly. Thank you. I'm just gonna wait one more minute. We're still seeing people trickle in. But yeah, thank you so much for taking out time and joining us for this webinar. Just one more minute and we'll begin. Thank you. Alrighty, it is 2:02, and as promised, let's begin with the webinar. We're going to be talking about smarter grading at scale, and we're going to see how AI is transforming technical assessments and grading. I am your host, Mohit Chandarana. I'm the principal research scientist here at Codio. Um, Part of my job is to keep ties with the research community and bring in all the good things that are happening with any new technology that comes in, and how can we turn that into a very helpful evidence-backed product feature that can help learners and instructors both. And that's essentially what goes behind every single thing we do at Codio. Um, let's start by just looking at the current landscape of what autograding looks like. You'd be used to doing input-output testing, or maybe dynamic unit testing using JUnit for Java or unit test for Python. Even like there's a library called Mocha, which I really like because it's sort of my name, Mohit Chandrana. Um, but and there's also a few approaches with static analysis where you can use reference solutions or any code style or analysis tools that give students more feedback. But that's the problem with it. The feedback is very limited. It's either very rule-based or hard-coded, or you just get a pass or fail based on the test cases that have been set up in the autograder. Um, but this is sort of a very big active area of research, and there have been plethora of novel approaches to try and provide better feedback for learners. Some researchers have tried industrial software testing techniques. Some people have used ML-based classifiers to group together incorrect submissions so that more personalized grouped feedback can be given at scale. There have also been a couple approaches where instead of grading or evaluating final outputs, there is a method to look at conceptual understanding. And that's what Fan et al. In 2023 came up with and called it concept grader. Um, so all of these help deal with the problem of very like static feedback, but still like these tools are cool. It still takes a lot of time to set up an autograder. Let's say you have something already, or if you want to start something from scratch. The time taken to learn these new tools to make sure we do it right is something that not a lot of instructors have usually. Um, so here's a thought, like, can LLMs solve this problem? We've been looking at LLM applications in CS Ed for a while now, and if you just look at the last 5 years, there are about 187 published studies in all different aspects and applications of CS and software engineering. There's a lot of it is introduction to CS, but there's also data science and other advanced topics that are seeing uses, applications, and evaluations of using LLMs to teach and grade. Um, and there's a bunch of things that are coming out of these studies that are very common. And the key findings from them are LLMs can effectively explain code really well. It's something that we can see day to day from ChatGPT or any other tools that are coming out. They're also able to explain error messages and compiler errors really well. So helping understand what's going wrong and where is also something LLMs are able to do very effectively. Um, there's also a whole community around generating new exercises or even test suites that LLMs are able to do really well. And also, when provided with the right context, they can give formative feedback. And there have been studies that have been found that LLMs are able to do that really effectively as well. Um, just before I go on, if there are any questions, I have my wonderful colleagues here in chat that can help you answer them. And we'll also have a Q&A at the end that we can get to. So if there's anything, please paste your questions in chat and our colleagues will get to it. So looking at all of these findings, we've actually, over the past couple of years, incorporated some of these learnings into our approach to AI tools in the product. Given that we have Codio Coach, it's our AI-driven learning assistant that does summarizing assignments, providing error message explanations, maybe even next step hints. Or you could even use this as an instructor-facing personal assistant where you can use it to pipe into any LLM model that you would like, and you can use it to generate or help you write content or even author your educational materials the way you want to. We also have a built-in tool for AI-assisted authoring that lets you do content draft generation and as well as assessment generation. And since we already had assessment gen, we thought, how about make the process of bringing someone else's autograder into the product or even adapting new autograders easier. So based on that question, those ideas, and the best practices we learned from our implementation, which are the prompt and context engineering for LLMs is very key. So this is what we found when we've been experimenting, that if you have very structured input along with clear output format guidelines, and if you add just the right examples and all the bits and pieces that are needed to contextualize your question or problem, LLMs are able to handle that really well. The other aspect is LLMs are really great at pattern matching. So if you're talking about search and retrieval or finding something in a large document, or even maybe finding something in a student submission, LLMs are able to do that really well. There's multiple approaches one can use for it, but the big thing to remember is the smaller the task, the better it's going to be able to do things. So we took all of these best practices, the original question of, okay, how do we make adapting autograders or adapting assessments easier? And we decided to answer these questions and do like a full scale research study where our first question was, can we generate accurate structured rubrics? So this is the structured input part from any autograding script, any test cases, and if I don't have either of those, maybe just plain English instructions. The second aspect was, can these generated rubrics now be applied to evaluate student submissions? And can they identify passing and failing test cases correctly? The third thing was, okay, now that we know if it can do this, can it actually give personalized individual feedback on all of these items? Because as we saw for autograders, the feedback is on a failing or passing test case, but it doesn't include why this test case has passed or failed based on what the student has submitted. So we wanted to see if we can incorporate the reasoning behind the failure or passing into the feedback so that it can be as personalized as possible. To sort of answer these questions, we looked at historical data that we have from our Intro to Python programming specialization. It's basically CS1, CS2. So you have anything from intro to programming to inheritance, polymorphism, and advanced topics, which ended up making us a data set of 70 unique assessments. And since we're looking at historical submissions, we had about 1,000 unique learners with 10,000 plus submissions. The initial data set actually was 300,000 submissions, but that would have run up, I don't know, thousands of dollars in AI credits. So we decided to keep it as concise, but still at scale, so that we can actually test and see whether or not this can be applied consistently and we can see good numbers. The next thing we did was we reran all of this. We did the prompt and context engineering. We broke down our problem into smaller tasks. And this is what we found, that we were able to convert 98% of different autograders. So this is custom scripts, this is unit tests, input-output tests, even a single line of instruction. And we were able to convert them into descriptive ordered rubrics that matched what we had in the original autograders. Once we ran these against submissions and compared the outputs of the historical autograder results and our LLM like submission results, almost 99% of all student submissions were graded correctly. And when we looked at all of this and analyzed the feedback on each of these submissions, this is the formula we found, that an existing autograder with very descriptive, clear rubrics and all the supplement data and context from around it we were able to get consistent personalized feedback with it. So we did not wait. We brought it into the product and we introduced LLM-based rubric grading. This is a new AI-assisted or manually graded assessment type in the platform that lets you paste any autograder you have or any instructions you have to create rubrics or test cases around it. The main things are, if you do not have an autograder, you can manually add custom items. You can add plain English instructions to create these. And like I said, because it's AI assisted, this is not fully autograded yet, because there's a whole body of research around human in the loop to make sure the feedback that students get is consistent and accurate. So we believe that once the instructors have had a chance to look at what the feedback is, they can edit it, they can approve it, and students will be able to see it. So let's actually dive in and see this in action. And again, if I'm rushing through anything, please feel free to post your questions in chat, and I'll make sure to answer everything. Okay, I'm gonna see if Zoom is gonna work. There you go. All right. So this is one of the assignments in our platform. You can look at, and this is the instructor view. So you can see there's a IDE on the left and the assignment instructions on the right. This question is about inheritance in Python. And we actually have solution file templating. That's another thing in the platform. So instructors can see this, and you can have your solution file in the same file students will. But these tags sort of filter it out so students don't see it. So let's actually see it in action and create an assessment on this page now that we have a question. So I'm going to go and edit. And I want an assessment at the bottom. I'm going to click assessments. And like I said, it's manually graded. So we're going to LLM-based rubric. I'll call this space inheritance. The instructions are already on the page, and this is the context engineering part, where anything that is needed for an assessment or for this rubric grader will be automatically grabbed and submitted when we get to the point of rubric creation. So here I'm just going to write submit your code for evaluation. And let's move on to the grading part. So the one thing we found in our research is if there is a solution file that you can provide, the generated rubrics and the subsequent grading happens consistently better. But specifically for rubrics, we don't need it. This is optional to generate the rubrics. But if you want the grading to happen, the solution file has to be there. So I'm just going to grab the solution file quickly. I think this is exercise 1. I'm just going to drag and drop it here. So now let's generate rubrics. You can experiment with this any way you want. You can actually leave this empty, and we have guidelines set in the prompt engineering behind the scenes that will analyze the solution, analyze the question and requirements, and give you 3 to 5 rubric items that cover everything that the question has asked the students to do. So let's just leave it empty, and we'll click generate using AI. It's going to take a few seconds, and there you go. Each rubric item has 2 parts. It has the rubric name, and this is what the students will be able to see, and the rubric description. So this is the extra context for the LLM that that helps it stay on point and provide consistent feedback. As of now, these points are set to 1, but you can adjust them manually based on however you want to weigh a certain rubric item. But the LLM does not take care of that as of now. It is something that we're planning in future improvements, and stay tuned. There's more coming. So the other one is actually, let's just look at the question. So the question says they have to use celestial body to create satellite and planet. So satellite class implementation is the first one. Planet is the second one. They have to inherit it. So properly used inheritance concepts. Use of super is specified in the questions. There's an rubric item for use of super, and then code functionality. Right now, again, you can imagine this as static analysis with LLMs. So even though you see a rubric item that says the code runs without errors, this is essentially us using the LLM as a black box neural network to actually predict whether or not the code will run without errors. And let's say if you'd like to add one more manually, you can add one more here saying the two classes should be in the same file. And you can leave this, you can either leave this empty, you can add more things here, but sort of the best practice is to make sure that there's as much information as you can provide the LLM. Please try and do so. I'm just gonna not have this here, and let's hit create. And if I click preview, you'll be able to see we have our oh, right. Oh, it is here. Now, formatting. So we have space inheritance and some of your code file validation. Now let's actually see what this looks like on the student side. So I'm going to switch to the student account, and I'm going to refresh, and I should be able to see my question here. Oh, I can't because as an instructor, I haven't published it. But this is where I keep learning more and more things about our platform, because most of the work I do is outside the platform in research. So I'm going to publish. And now if I refresh, the question should be here. There you go. That wasn't hard. Good. Right. And just to make the process easy, I'm going to do a little bit of cheating and grab the solution from here. Don't worry, we'll make a mistake in there. We're not perfect students. We'll paste. Oh, no, not paste. Let's see. Copy. Paste. There you go. So yeah, I'm a student. I have done this question. I am happy to submit, and I'm going to click check it. So this is where the solution file, the question, generated rubrics, everything is sent to the LLM. And students can still see this. They can see, oh, these are preliminary results. Final results will be available after your instructor reviews. And you can see there have been some errors. And the errors because, like I said, the super class, I commented it out in the original solution. So it says, oh, use of super has failed. Planet class has failed because that's where problem is. Now, if I uncomment this and submit again, should be able to see that we're passing everything. But I just want to show what the feedback would look like for a passing and failing test case. So I'm just going to submit it with an error, and then we'll go back to our instructor account to see how grading looks like with this assessment. So like we see here, there's these things have failed, which is good. I'm going to go back to the instructor account. Now let's refresh and see what student test C has done. There you go. So you can see the answered 1, graded 1. So let's go into here. We look at space inheritance. We can see the points have been allotted based on passing and failing test cases. Let's just open it. So this is the manual grading UI you would see with this assessment type. You'll be able to see what the actual question text was in the instructions when we created the assessment, and then the preliminary results. This is the rubric item, the initial like rubric name that we had for each of them, and then the feedback that our LLM grader has given us is right here. So let's see, the salad class is correctly implemented with proper inheritance, so that's good. Okay. Oh, the parent class is missing the parent class attributes. Super is commented out. So this is why it's super unique, because if this was a unit test, the reason why this test case is failing would not be part of the feedback. But because LLMs are able to handle this really well, and we can use them as a static analysis tool, each single test case has individualized, personalized feedback. And it includes it in every single one. And again, if there's something that you would like to manually change, right, because we're strong believers in human in the loop, we're going to click this to pass or fail a test case, and all of this feedback is editable. I will allow. And you can click apply grade, and you can see points have changed as well. So that's just an example of how this assessment would work, even without having an autograder with you. Let's say we have another question. Let's see. It's another inheritance question. But for this one, I actually have a unit test script that I'd written after hours and hours of effort, and I want to use that to sort of create the rubric items for this. So let's try that out and let's see how that would work. I'm going to click LLM-based rubric, exercise 5, submit when ready. Again, I'm going to just copy solution file, and click generate rubrics, and let me find my script. All right. So So I'm going to paste that entire script as is from here. I'm going to say, here's a unit test script. And this is my entire Java JUnit script with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 test cases. And like I said, like for unit test, there's no, if you'd like to make sure that students have used recursion, it's very hard, and you'd have to do everything from scratch. So that is something you can get here as well. Let's see. Oh, we're in the wrong size 5. So it's this one. Yes. Cool. So assessments, LLM-based rubric, size 5, submit here, grading. Apologies if I'm going really fast. But right. So now we're at the point that we were in the correct place. Now I'm going to paste this correctly. And in the end, I'm just adding more instructions that, okay, create rubric items for each of these tests. Make sure the title is descriptive enough for students to understand what is being checked. And this is where you could be a little more creative so that the rubrics are transparent to students when they're submitting their code. And you can add any more instructions, or if you'd like to add one more test alongside all of these, everything can go here, and the rubric generator can handle. Now let's click generate using AI. All right. So in the script, we had finding maximum value. So that's the test case. Maximum value in a simple array, negative, maximum value in the middle, unsorted array, and implementation using recursion. So that is the unique thing about this, that not only can you test for input-output tests or unit tests, or you could even do custom feature checkers to make sure that a certain method or a certain technique is implemented in the solution. So as required, with the method calling itself to solve smaller instances. And we're going to click create, and we can see our exercise right here. I can publish this, and we can actually look at second exercise, push. Cool. And then let's go back to the student account and do that question. Let's see. There you go. Do I have the solution for this? That's a good question, isn't it? Let me see. We'll look at exercise 5. There you go. Yes. And then, so now let's say if I leave this commented out and I click check it, this should actually fail everything. And it fails everything. So yeah, that's oh, now this should work. But yeah, that's sort of like a sneak peek into how LLM grading works, what are the components in it, how easy it is to set it up by just pasting your instructions or your existing scripts or your autograders or maybe even nothing and letting it figure out what the best test cases should be. Because another thing LLMs are good at in terms of code analysis is finding edge cases. Then we can see how this would look like for students where they can get the result of the test case and exactly what we're testing. And on the instructor's end, you can actually see how grading looks like. You can adjust feedback. You can manually pass or fail a test case if the feedback you think is incorrect. Or you could just hit approve and keep grading the next student. That's what LLM grading looks like right now. What's coming up next, like I said, is we're going to try adding partial points or even setting points to this. And we're also going to make an effort to see if we can actually run student code with LLMs. So if you want to do an input-output test, configuring it with a code execution environment that actually has the student code in the question, and we're running it and using the results of that execution to inform the grader's feedback. We're also going to come up with a fully automated version of LLM-based rubric grader. So if you're confident in the feedback for your course, you can turn it on fully automated, and students will receive the feedback and grade as soon as they submit. Let me now take a look at some questions. I think there was someone who was raising a hand. If you have a question, Q&A, there you go. All right, so I have a question here. Would it be able to handle full-fledged student projects with multiple files? Yes, so right now, the way we have it set it up is it looks at the open files in the IDE. But the other improvement we're trying to make is you can actually select the project files that have to be the context for the LLMs as a simple dropdown, and it should be able to handle large projects and the entire student code as context. But that is the improvement we're going to make very, very soon. But that was a very good question. Thank you. Oh, while we wait for more questions, a new webinar is going to be, there's a new webinar happening in September. My wonderful colleagues on our content team are going to show you how to build and run hands-on AI labs using all of these new AI tools that have sort of become standard when it comes to software engineering. And you can see how we can instrument them in Codio and how easy it is to get up and running very quickly. The link is in here. The link for the webinar's recording and the slide deck is also going to be sent to you after the webinar. And please, if you can, do attend the webinar next month. That is September 17th. And yeah, let's see. This is 30 minutes on the dot. Sometimes, yeah, that is brilliant. Okay, so this is sort of Q&A. But also, if you feel like you have any other feedback for us, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Here's my emails on the screen, mchandarana@codio.com. If you have any questions after the webinar, or if you have any ideas or thoughts that you'd like to discuss with us, we're happy to work with you on anything. If you have research ideas, or if you want to have discussion on how we can work together or collaborate together on something, very, very happy to sit down and chat with you on that as well. I'm just going to give a few more minutes for our participants. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, honestly, even if you have any concerns, happy to hear them. Um, and let's see. Oh, no questions, but this was really helpful. Oh, I'm glad. Thank you. For a moment, I thought I was speeding through it really fast, but I'm glad that it didn't feel that way. Um, Thoughts on using this outside of computing courses? Oh, actually, the way we've configured it right now, it can be applied to any course you have. So if you want to use this as an autograder for free text questions, you should be able to do that as well. And that is something that we'll be adding to our existing like free text autograde assessment type as well. Amazing questions, Mohammed. I'm loving this. Because right now, like grading free text questions is has been really hard up until we got to the era of LLMs, because you'd have to do some sort of fuzzy string matching or finding keywords, and um, that may not be the most elegant way to do it. But with LLMs, you can use an autograder that would do essentially auto grading in any language. And that is something that is going to be easily instrumented in the other assessment type, and you're going to be able to see it in action very soon. The thing that I'm most excited about actually is the code running aspect, because one of the big concerns that we anticipated and which is very real is, oh, this is just we're sort of relying on another black box machine learning model to without clear explanations, but adding the code execution functionality and using the results of the code execution as extra context for feedback is something that is going to make this feature more robust. And we're very excited to do another like full scale research study and present you the results of those as well. What if your district has strict protocols for using, okay, I think this is a very good question. What if your district has strict protocols for using a third-party method to Google Classroom, which is my LLM? Would I still be able to utilize this feature? Um, do you actually mean Google Classroom is your LMS and you'd want to connect this to Codio? Because if that is the case, then yes, we integrate. Okay, in terms of integration, I think one of my colleagues can take that question and answer that in chat. But yeah, as long as you have a connection from your LMS to Codio, um, anything in Codio should be able to be something that you can use. These are excellent questions. I'm really grateful for the engagement here. So yes, as my colleague says, we can connect to Codio using Google Classroom. So yes, your learners will not be basically directly pipe through into Codio from your LMS. And once that happens, you're in. I think there's another question from Ala. Um, would you mind pasting your question in the Q&A, please? Again, while we wait for more questions, I really want to thank you all for taking out the time to be at this webinar and to patiently listen and engage. All your questions are wonderful. Again, if you have any thoughts or feedback on what more we can do to support instructors, please reach out to us and let's chat. Is there a way to have a copy of this presentation to review later? Yeah, I think one of my colleagues will answer that in chat. But yeah, we're going to be sending the recording link of this webinar as soon as we end it. So that is something that you'll have access to as well. Um, and yeah, there's going to be you'll get a link to this presentation. You'll also get a link to the new webinar that's going to be hosted by my colleagues next month on more AI tooling and labs. Actually, while we wait, I actually have a question for any attendee still here. If you have used any AI tools so far, like how has your experience been with it, and what kind of tools have you used in whether this is in teaching or whether this is outside of your professional life? I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts. I'm just gonna wait like a couple more minutes for any last questions. But if you don't have any questions, I'd like to thank you again for your time. And yeah, please reach out to us if there's anything else you'd like to chat with us about. Um, oh, we have a comment from Veronica. At this time, novice level, but learning and willing to use more thoughtfully in instructional practice. No, definitely, yeah. And again, if you have any questions or if you'd like to have a conversation about it, this is something that I like to keep tabs on literally every single day. And yeah, I'd be happy to discuss. Okay, here's another question. If the LLM pushes the grade and feedback to the LMS. Yeah, once it is connected, everything with respect to the grades is relayed back to your LMS. And that sort of happens with the connection itself. And if I'm missing anything, I think my colleagues from the success team can they're actually specialized in this, so they can actually answer this question way better than I can. Um, but yes, like anything, once the grades are live and published, they do relay back to your LMS. Ooh. Which LLM are you current? Oh, wonderful question. I'm sorry if I didn't address this. But what we're using right now to power the AI tools in our platform is the Claude models from Anthropic. Um, like we really appreciate their the policies they have with respect to like whether that's data retention, because nothing nothing none of the data that's routed through our enterprise account is used for their model research or development or training. We're able to control that really clearly. The way the cloud models work with structured input is what separates it from the other things that we've researched when it comes to other providers. So we can use XML formatting, JSON formatting, and have things done more programmatically um, to get all the context from multiple places and feed it in um, to sort of consistently get better responses. But most of our other AI tools, so Codio Coach, you can actually use any LLM you want. It's fully extendable, it's fully customizable, and you can actually have your own server running things using an open source model, and it would still work with it. So if you have any questions about how to do extensibility and use your own LLMs, please schedule a call with me or send me an email, and I'd be happy to sit with you and walk you through it. All right, we're almost at end of time. I'm just gonna um, open up last call for any questions. If not, I'd like to thank you again for spending your time with us at this webinar, and hope to see you at the next one very soon. And again, if you have any other questions, please feel free to drop us an email, and we'd be happy to chat with you. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and enjoy end of summer.